Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to Fantasy Forecast for February 2nd, 2017. Maybe the 3rd if you're watching this now, Groundhog Day. It's pretty late. It's past Groundhog Day. It's 12:41. It's February 3rd, 2017. I apologize. My balance is $2,075. I have not made a deposit at all in 2017. This can be verified with transaction records. I'm not going to do it on YouTube and waste your time. Let's move on to what we would do for today's slate. And let's real fast show what my scores were recently in the history. I had a huge win today. Scroll through, go ahead. Also on the swaggy slate was wonderful to me. The main slate yesterday sucked, and the main slate the day before sucked, and then we're on to basically a soccer lineup, which I kicked ass on, and then this day before, and so, that's what it is. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that stuff. Let's go on to upcoming slates for today. What do we have in the lobby? Fantasy Forecast. It's tough to do this, guys, honestly. I had a horrible comment, and that's why I've been kind of off the air for a little while. It just, people, they act like I'm part of some kind of conspiracy. Look at the comments in the last video. You'll see what I'm talking about. And it's like, I ripped into them. I get tired of stuff like this. It's like, I don't care if Joakim Noah is on a slate or not. Who gives a shit about playing Joakim Noah anyways? We all like Hernan Gomez and O'Gwyn. Hello. I said the same thing then, and it's the same thing a weekend now. But whatever. And that's even with me not even knowing what Hornacek's minutes should be. Honestly. Hornacek is just the worst player coach ever in terms of getting steady minutes. But let's see what's up with the slate. Okay. So let's look at the games. Now we got Toronto and Orlando without even looking at the spreads, and I don't even know this, but I can tell you right now, 205-ish, 200, somewhere around there perhaps. Orlando's obviously crappy. Toronto's going to be better. Toronto should be favored, even though Orlando's at home by a good 7-10 points, somewhere around there. That'd be my guess. And these are all going to be guesstimates now. But we're going to have to see what the situation is. I'm sure DeRozan might be back in at this point, which is going to take away all that Corey Joseph value and all the other stuff that you'd be looking at. But other than that, against Orlando, they're still a pretty shitty team. There's no question about that. So, you're still going to be looking at Lowry and DeRozan as possible plays. How many games do we have on the slate? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-game slate, it's not 12. So you're going to have some options, but, be looking around. All right. On the Orlando side, injury ravage is the first thing that comes to mind, but, Lord Alfred Payton could do good, but Toronto is just such a defensively tough opponent, especially against the point guard position. I probably wouldn't be straying that way. You start looking at shooting guard and going the other directions, and you got Pat. I'm not so sure. I don't think Orlando really intrigues me in any way, shape, or form today, or tomorrow, or however we look at this. We've got the Nets against the Pacers. Okay, geez. We're going to have fun here, aren't we? The Nets are such an incredible pace against, and they're horrible with defensive efficiency. And then we have the Pacers running the other direction. So this is just one of those kind of question marks where you're going to probably want to take some Pacers, but which ones particularly are you going to want to take? And we'll get to that as we go through the positions. Minnesota, Detroit. You got the Wolves on the that's just a question mark to me. The over-under is probably going to come in lower. Chicago against Houston. Chicago's still probably running out somewhat of a JV team, and even if they're not running out a JV team, with the way they've treated their star players lately, they pretty much want to play like a JTV. So we really have issues in Chicago right now. And I'd be looking at the Bulls to basically get blown out by Houston, which is kind of like, oh, yeah. And, well, that that could be the Beard has yet another good game after he had tonight. So even on the back of a blowout. And we are going to have to watching like stuff like, hey, they've just played a lot of minutes. It's possible they could get rested, but yeah, Houston isn't the type to do that. So I kind of expect we're going to see same minute load, same let's keep on rolling. Lakers against Boston. We all know the Lakers have horrible defensive efficiency against Boston, but Boston in particular is bad against a couple positions as well, especially with their injuries that are rolling right now too. So we're going to be looking at that. D'Angelo Russell coming back in has played good for 2 straight games in a row. I mean, he's probably going to be chalky for a third game when you run in here. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is amazing, but he's really not known for his defensive efficiency. So we're going to have to look at that as well. Memphis and OKC, well, we got Westbrook. Westbrook's going to be expensive as hell. There's no question about that. He's probably going to be able to fit in. Let's be honest. There's 8 games here. By the time that lock time comes around, we know that some value is going to open up and take care of stuff so that you're going to be able to pay for Westbrook, even if he's priced at $13,000. I haven't even seen yet. We're about to see in a second, but you're going to be able to pay for something like that. Over 13, I would never pay. And against Memphis, that's where I start thinking my readjustment. They're slower, and they're maybe 10,900 is where it'd be comfortable. 11.2-ish, somewhere in the range. So when he's coming in at 12, I'm like, I probably want to fade off of that. But if I'm forced into it because there's incredible value, I won't have an issue taking it. These are all relative things, even on an 8-game slate. You're looking for a cash game safety when you take a cash game. The Bucks against Denver. Oh God, Denver guards are horrible, so we're definitely going to be looking at the point guards. We'll give Milwaukee point guards. Other than that, well, Denver's kind of eat up themselves, so there might be some value to get on the other side of that. Try and take a couple guys that. As long as some other people in Denver sit out, and it forces them to choose, hey, we have to actually use 30 plus minutes on 5 guys, and we can't just spread it around to the whole team for 24 minutes. I don't understand them. They're just so stupid up there for that reason. But hey, if they don't want to go to the playoffs and they want to lose, that's not my deal. And Phoenix at Sac. It's your late game. It's an hour and a half other than the others. We all know we all want late game hammers, yada yada yada. But other than that, look at this in some ways. Sacramento's gone slower, but Phoenix is a fast pace. On pricing, I'd be starting to look at, is Sacramento pricing really been brought up enough to compensate for how fast Phoenix goes? And on the flip side of that, are there positions on Sacramento where Phoenix could possibly exploit? Is Sacramento weak on defense versus position in any particular slots? That's where I'd start looking. All right, let's go into lineup considerations for today. And now, select, and now we'll do it this way. Westbrook, 12-1. We were almost calling those prices, weren't we? A little too expensive for me. Thomas against the Lakers, 10-5. Come down a little. What did he do in his last game? Is he finally starting to come to earth? Because I've been saying he can't handle this forever. There's no way. 56. No, he's not coming down to earth. 56, 38, 51, 54. He's done, in the last 4 of the last 5, he's done more than 50 fantasy points. So if you're looking for a safe option, it looks safe for now. I don't know how long he can keep it going. I don't like it myself because I just get scared, and I think he's going to revert back to that 41-point average he's pushing that average up every single game that he does this, but it was in the 30s, the high 30s, now it's in the low 40s. Lowry against Orlando, God, he's getting so expensive. I'm not sure. Bledsoe's getting cheaper, but Conley's getting cheaper. We're going to have a lot of options where we can run today. I'll be dead honest with you. Russell against Boston. IT is not known for deficiency, and at 6,100, I'd probably be locking in Russell to start with. That seems to be a smart play just to move out. Other than that, Yogi Ferrell, is Deron Williams going to sit yet again? Because we've been waiting for him to come back, and if he doesn't come back, then This guy actually could be a good play even on an 8-game slate. It depends on where you look. Jameer Nelson has been popped up a lot. Wow, at 4,900 already. He's just been bounced. Wow. He's a lot higher. Corey Joseph, if DeRozan sat 1/3 time, look at that. It's still incredibly cheap. I'm sure there's already news saying he's going to play though, because he's gone 600 cheaper, so that makes more sense to me. How about Collison against Phoenix as a Lego GPP slot? But I think Russell against Boston is a good way to start out. Shooting guard. Harden against Alphabet? Harden against Chicago. Well, we know how bad Chicago is, 12-2. I think that's your better stud position play today. Although, gosh, Alphabet doesn't really play like a shooting guard. You guys are and neither does Harden. Interestingly enough, if you can find enough value, getting Harden out and Alphabet into a lineup today could be a winning combination. I'm just going to move on from shooting guard in terms of that aspect, but let's keep on checking it out. Booker against Sack, Wade against Houston, both GPP slots. Curry is too expensive now at 6,300. He's totally fairly priced. Gary Harris at 5,100 hasn't moved enough against Milwaukee. He can definitely put up a 5 times performance. He's seen it a lot of times before, so that's not an issue. I'd be looking there. Nothing else standing out right now until last minute value opens. Let's go into small forward. Butler against Houston. Butler is finally coming down. Jimmy Buckets and Houston. It's interesting. I honestly, I'd rather go against the Nets. They're just such a bad opponent. And I know it didn't pay off in terms of the last time, for the house, but, going against Brooklyn generally pays off almost all the time. So don't be scared off by 1 or even 2 or 3 games streaking in a row. It's just the way it is. So I'm almost thinking Paul George at 87. And they have a just over just a couple hundred, but I don't think it's enough. Not against the Nets. And not with who PG is. He can dominate a game enough where he can put up 50 points. And that's clearly exceeding value. Gallinari, it says out. It might not be out later. Crowder against the Lakers, but he's getting expensive. Marcus Morris, the cheaper at 5,100. Bogdo against the Pacers and Hollis Jefferson against both at 4,300. Damari Carroll's only 4,000. And you got Robinson. But Robinson only 3,700, even off the bench. And I know you don't like taking bench players, but look at Jaylen Brown and both Robinson. I mean, heck, at 23, 24 minutes, if either one of them performs to the point where they get a fantasy point per minute, that's an incredible value at just 3,700. So if you need to go cheap, I think both those guys at 3,700 are pretty good. I would probably just stick with Paul George at the Nets. Although I'm not saying that's a lock. I'm just saying, look at that. Jokic, you have to make sure he's going to play, and they don't have a reason to make sure that he plays because they just don't. So they might rest him. Be careful with that. I would go with Jabari Parker, who's come down in price, and against Denver, who's bad against almost a lot of his positions. And when you put up 122 points and your opponent puts up 112, I mean, that's pretty good for Parker because he's a scoring-dependent guy, and it's going to come from him. So I'd be looking at Parker, and Ibaka against Toronto isn't really my favorite play. I mean, you have to look at pricing. 6,000 is not out of the stratosphere pricing, so I mean, it's certainly, you can do that. It just, you got Booker. No, I mean, you got Pat going down at 3,900. Down cheap. I mean, if someone opens up, definitely be looking at it. I mean, power forward's just such a rough position every night. Zebo against OKC at 6,100. I don't think it's moved enough. If you get stuck at 2 mid-tiers, go ahead and look at Zebo too. That's not an issue for me. But I would probably stick with Jabari Parker. It seems to be the way to go. And then at center, that Sack can possibly blow out Phoenix, but you also know that Phoenix runs such an incredible pace that you're like, well, can he pay 11.3? It's not 12,000 or something. But Towns is 10.8. You don't want to pay that. It's just way too much. Gasol against OKC at 8,700 has come down some, granted, but I don't know if you want to go there. Drummond is almost the same price. Horford against the Lakers at 7,400 is like almost seems the most appealing to me in terms of the high price. But then you get Turner at 67, who just put up a stinker before, and a lot of people get turned off by those stinkers. He's actually a decent player. He can pick up boards. The Lakers will give him up, and I would probably be sticking towards Adams. Guys like that. We're going cheaper. Now it is possible to go super cheap, but I mean Zubac's already 4,700, so I mean FanDuel's getting better with their pricing, which I commend them for. But other than that, hey, so you got your center choices there, and there's not that many. Turner, Brolo perhaps. I wouldn't take Plumlee against Dallas, no way. Horford against the Lakers, yes. Drummond against the Wolves, possibly. And once you get really high, maybe Cousins if you just have to spend. And that's about it. Okay, so you guys saw some results real fast. You guys saw what's going up for FanDuel for tomorrow in terms of a basic run through before updates and everything else have hit. There's my balance showing you guys everything, and that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching Fantasy Forecast for Groundhog Day and February 3rd, 2017. I may post an update video. I might not. Kind of depends on comments. If somebody pisses me off like crazy like that, I won't. You really want to get mad that I sell a limited group of people lineups for $30 a month right before lock because they have to go to work. Jeez. It's not like I'm charging $1 million, and I even made it refundable. I'm not like most jerks out there, so I don't know what to tell you. Anyways, my Twitter link's in the description. I do send out little tweets about certain breaking news that might pop up, stuff like that, so you want to be aware of. And other than that, you can subscribe here, and that really helps support the free channel. And that's about it for all the free stuff that I try to give you guys. You don't have to pay to be a subscriber, and I won't take you on right now anyways. It's completely full. You want to contact me on Twitter, that's fine, but you're going to be put on the waiting list. And other than that, thank you so much for watching Fantasy Forecast and spending a little part of your day with me. Hope you guys had a wonderful day, and go on out there and go win some money.